Welcome to HRD TV. I'm excited today to have Jenny Garrett with us, an expert in diversity, equity, and inclusion. She works as a coach, advisor for companies, and even an author. And I'm very excited to have this opportunity to speak with you today, Jenny.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Really thrilled to do so. So let's just jump right in. One of the issues that I see companies struggling with right now is diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's perhaps uniquely interesting over the last 18 months or so, as so many of us have worked remotely. The strategies may have changed in some cases, and I'm curious what you're seeing about how companies are addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion challenges right now.
Yes, thank you so much for asking that question. I think it's a really important one over the period we've just had, because so much of the research indicates that those from underrepresented groups have suffered the most. They've been juggling work, maybe caring responsibilities, maybe higher health risks, and it's been really challenging for them. And so a responsibility I think organizations have is to think about that underrepresented talent and what they can do to support them, to hold on to them. Because another trend we're seeing is the Great Resignation. Lots of people are leaving their jobs, even without jobs to go to, because they've just had enough. They found it difficult. They've decided that their priorities are different. And so there is a bit of a war on talent. And what organizations are coming to me for are really a recognition that they may have neglected their underrepresented talent and that pipeline of talent. They might have realized they have a glass ceiling or even a concrete ceiling in their organization where there's a diversity, and then suddenly they get to this point and they look up and there isn't that, definitely not visible diversity anymore. And to get people into those higher rungs, they don't have that pipeline of talent coming through to be able to support them. So they're wondering, what do they have to do to create that pipeline, to have more diverse leadership in more senior levels? And that's because they've started to realize that diversity is really important, and that it creates creativity and innovation and helps them be more competitive. And also because when they think about that underrepresented talent at the less senior levels, they can't be what they can't see. So that if they look up and they don't see themselves, they'll think that there is no future for them and they end up leaving. So there's an issue there that they really need to get hold of. Another issue is really equipping line managers to nurture underrepresented talent, to confront their biases that they might have, to develop the stamina to have different kinds of conversations. Maybe they've never spoken about gender before. Maybe they've never spoken about race or disability or sexual orientation, and to develop the stamina and the language to have these conversations with those who report to them. And also understand the concept of equity, the idea that it's really important to level the playing field. And to level the playing field means that sometimes you might have to give some colleagues some extra support to do so. And that doesn't mean favoritism. It just means that you're actually redressing the balance. So these are some of the things that we've been supporting organizations with, as well as that sort of big picture strategic thinking around how can we create environments where inclusion and belonging is at the center. How can we do that so that whenever anyone comes, they can thrive, they can feel that they belong, and we don't lose people. And in fact, we attract more people as a result, because actually millennials, I think, are looking now to see, are organizations inclusive? Where do I want to work? How will they support me?
So you framed the challenges really nicely, I think. What are some of the specific strategies you've seen companies try that grabbed your attention for their potential or their actual success?
Yeah, so we work with many organizations definitely to nurture the pipeline of talent, and to really help that the talented people who may have been overlooked, who may have been knocked back, who might be a little bit despondent, who may have succeeded in spite of the organization rather than because of it. We help to nurture that talent, help them build their confidence, recognize there is a career path, how to navigate the organization. So we do a lot of programs to support the underrepresented talent to be ready to take opportunities, not to give them an unfair advantage, but to actually, as I said earlier, to level that playing field so they can take advantage and be ready when opportunities arise. In addition, we work with sort of leaders and those who might be the line managers of underrepresented talent to understand what's getting in the way. Often they're given a lot of tools and initiatives to really nurture the talent in their organization, but there is something getting in the way. So we run focus groups and events to understand what's getting in the way and then try to equip them with whatever it is that is the obstacle. It might be having these difficult conversations. It might be that the organization itself, although it's saying the right things, is not doing the right things. So they might not feel supported in calling out or calling in behaviors that aren't quite right. So we work with them to understand what the challenges are and then equip line managers with whatever it is they need. So yeah, those are a couple of things. And a big thing I would say is sponsorship. So senior leaders sponsoring individuals from underrepresented groups, I think that works really effectively. I looked at a piece of research recently and it said that I think the question was, how many Black women have informally had a conversation with a senior leader? So there might be opportunities to have conversations with senior leaders in meeting environments, but those informal conversations. And I think it was 60% said they'd never had an informal conversation with a senior leader. Now,
so creating more intentionality in your leadership team around building those relationships informally is part of what you're saying comes out of those focus groups.
absolutely.
I like, and that's the kind of specific thing, Jenny, that our viewers will be able to grab a hold of. So I really appreciate that example. When you were talking about focus groups, are you talking about focus groups for the people who would identify themselves as part of what creates the diversity in our workforce for the management team, or both separately, both together? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think often organizations run listening groups for their underrepresented talent themselves.
Yes.
And we often come in and have listening groups with line managers or focus groups with line managers who are in the majority group to help them get to the bottom of what might be holding them back from supporting their underrepresented talent.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noted in my own work is that sometimes those line managers unconsciously or informally are helpful to people that are, shall we say, like them in one way or another, right? Might even be there cheering for the same sports team, right? But like them in some regard. And that part of the coaching comes to being more intentional about engaging informally with people that they don't have as much obviously in common with.
Absolutely. Yeah. An exercise we do is something called the Trusted 10, where we ask line managers in the majority group to think about who the 10 people that are closest to them, that they would say are in their inner circle. So write their names down and then think about the different characteristics they might have in terms of religion, nationality, ethnicity, gender, etc. And we often find there's a lot of commonality between them and their trusted 10. And then what does that mean for in and out groups in the organization? So those who are more like you will be in the in group, those who are not will be in the out group. And those who are in the out group miss out on those stretch opportunities. They miss out on that informal mentoring. They miss out on those informal socializing conversations that happen. And then end up not making their way through the organization. So,
and you as a leader, the person you're coaching, right? You as a leader are missing out on the broader perspective and insight that you'd have if you had a little more diverse group as your trusted 10.
Absolutely. There's so much, the thing about life is that you and I could be walking along exactly the same street together, and we could have a totally different experience of that. And the only way to open yourself up to that different experience, that different perspective, is to have that like diversity of thought, of experience, of life alongside yourself, and be open to hearing what it is on both sides.
I really appreciate this idea of having people, leaders, do this exercise of looking at their trusted 10 and then he's examining how they could make a more diverse group of people around that metaphorical leadership table with them. I think, again, that's something that our viewers will be able to grab hold of. I encourage those watching to try that exercise on your own for yourself. Create that list of, shall we say, about 10 people, right? Jenny, it doesn't have to be exactly 10, right? That you're trusting. And then add on to that another column, not just of what are the attributes of those people that you have in common, but another column after that of other people that you work with that didn't make the list. And note next to their names some of the points of view or expertise, experience that they have that you might be missing out on, that might inspire you even out of enlightened self-interest, let alone higher thought and higher intentions. Your own enlightened self-interest might lead you to adding in some of those folks more intentionally for any number of reasons when it comes down to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're right there. I think another thing to do is actually just look at some of your data and your numbers. So it could be that you've been recruiting people for the last 10 years in your organization, and just looking at that, do I have a bias for a certain group of people? Do I always recruit men or always recruit women? Or who do I always recruit, and who are the people who don't quite make the mark? Because when it's just each single incidence, you can always justify your decision making. But when you look at it as a whole, then you start to see the trends and you have to question yourself. So sort of collating a big picture can be really helpful.
And as an HR leader, our viewers can often be the ones who do that work to bring the numbers to management, to raise the question, to raise the challenge.
Yes. Yeah. I love the idea of holding a mirror up. Sort of holding a mirror up and saying, this is really what I see. This is you. Oh, this is
us, hopefully.
Yeah, this is the organization. And look what, there's something for us to look at here.
Lovely. Absolutely. Excellent. Well, Jenny, thank you very much for your insights today and these actionable concepts that people can really bring to the workplace. Before you go, can you just give us a brief mention of how people could reach out to you if they're interested in digesting more of your insights and knowledge or tapping into your guidance?
Thank you so much. Yes, my website is just really easy. My name, jennygarrett.global. So really easy for people to get hold of me.
Lovely. Thank you so much again, Jenny, for taking your time today. I appreciate it, and I'm sure our viewers will as well. Well done.
Thank you.
Absolutely.